Part 15. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 141. The Waiting Hall Outside. Tong Yu couldn't sit down as early as when she saw that Zhang Lingzi had been in for 10 minutes and still hadn't come out. Just stood up and wandered back and forth to relieve the tension, while looking at the door leading to the infield from time to time. Even Shaman only went in for the audition and came out after more than 10 minutes. Why did Xiao 11 take so long? Zheng, I always feel uneasy. Lu Zheng looked at Tong Yu, who was making her dizzy, and shook her head. Sister Tong, isn't it a good thing that the audition took a long time? It means that the director is satisfied. But it's almost half an hour. Which actor who has auditioned before has been in for so long? If it comes out too soon, there is a high possibility that there will be no chance of success. But it's also weird that it hasn't come out for so long. That seems to be the case. Lu Zheng lowered his head and looked at the time on his phone, then glanced around. There are far fewer people in the hall now than in the morning, because Sister Zixi has not come out for nearly half an hour since she entered the audition, which has attracted many people to look in their direction from time to time. I'm afraid I'm thinking about it now. Lin Suifei squeezed the water glass in her hand and sat motionless. The longer Zhang Lingzi didn't come out, the more panicked she became. Is it possible for Zhang Lingzi to audition and become the first female lead? She subconsciously denied the idea as soon as it occurred to her. Impossible, unless Director Wei is crazy. There is no way he would choose Zhang Lingzi over Su Qingmei. What is that for? The health director took a liking to Zhang Lingzi and asked her to audition for other roles? That's why it took so long. Will there be a role of Zhang Ling'an in it? Until I heard a call from Zhang Lingzi's assistant, Sister Zixi is coming out. In an instant, Lin Suifei made the same move as almost everyone in the hall and looked straight in the direction of the infield gate. At this moment, the door was slowly opening, and Zhang Lingzi's figure slowly appeared in their sight. Seeing that the man was still as calm as when he entered before, and even vaguely revealed a bit of domineering that made them unaware, many people subconsciously held their breath. Tong Yu took Lu Zheng and walked up to her. You're finally out? How is it? Did the audition go well? As she asked in a low voice, she raised her head and met Zhang Lingzi's looking eyes. For a moment, she almost thought she was transparent. Her heart was grabbed by a hand, and her hairs almost stood up. But after blinking, this feeling of shock disappeared inexplicably, making her think that she had an illusion. Zhang Lingzi did not expect that Tong Yu would still be so out of control. She quickly calmed down the momentum she had given off during the audition and said warmly, Sister Tong, go out and talk. Tong Yu then realized that their every move was being watched by many eyes. She raised her hand and patted her forehead. Look, I'm in a hurry. Let's get back to the car. Lin Suifei watched helplessly as Zhang Lingzi was surrounded by her agent and assistant, but she still couldn't muster the courage to step forward and ask what she wanted to know most. After Zhang Lingzi's figure disappeared from everyone's sight, voices slowly began to ring in the quiet hall. Why do I feel that Zhang Lingzi who just walked out of it seems like a different person? Don't talk about it yet. I don't know why when Zhang Lingzi looked over at me just now, I didn't even dare to breathe. She's been auditioning for almost half an hour, and I don't know which role she's auditioning for. I'm afraid she's stable, but don't be the same as me, otherwise I'll probably be in vain. Lin Suifei, who happened to hear this, pursed her lips. She didn't want to admit that she had the same fear now. Compared with the panic caused by this in the waiting hall, the atmosphere in the car was much more relaxed. Or should be said that Zhang Lingzi's determined look gave Tong Yu and Lu Zheng a lot of confidence. So, you first auditioned Wei Fuiying at the request of the director, and then you asked yourself to audition Zhang Yuanzhao, and the director actually agreed. Wei Minmin actually wants to compete with Sister Zixi for a role. You two are all in competition, but she is actually willing to act with Sister Zixi. The rich lady's personality in the industry has always been upright and straightforward. She says whatever she has to say and is great at quarreling with people. Her brother-in-law is also a health director, and no one in the industry dares to mess with her. If she doesn't want to, it's useless for anyone to try to cooperate with you. I really didn't expect you two to be quite compatible. Zhang Lingzi thought of the girl's eyes that were a little red because of the drama when she left. I think Min Min has a good temper. Tong Yu and Lu Zhengzheng couldn't help but look at each other. This is your first official meeting, right? So why did you call Min Min? Can't. That's not true. It would be great if you could get closer to Wei Min Min. I would definitely be happy to see it happen. Tong Yu smiled with 2 rows of white teeth. If Min Min makes a friend, I'll be satisfied. When Zhang Lingzi heard what she said, she later realized that Wei Min Min's influence in the entertainment industry was greater than she thought. Wait a minute, just now Tong Yu also said that Wei Xiao is Wei Min Min's uncle, so he may also be a descendant of Wei Fueying. So she will most likely be filming under the hands of Wei Fueying's descendants. Do you feel a little complicated? So, how sure are you? Zhang Lingzi came back to her senses, pondered for a moment, and replied, 8 points. The reason why there are 2 points left is because he is still unclear about the relationship between Wei Xiao and Su Qingmei. If Wei Xiao still prefers Su Qingmei unconditionally after watching her audition. As for this drama, it's okay not to do it. She will not settle for the next best thing and compete with Wei Min Min for the role of Wei Fueying. 8 points, Tong Yu murmured. Then the most important thing for me is to wait for the notification from the crew. I heard that Director Wei is very efficient in this regard, and the results are expected to be available in the next 2 days. The other thing is about preparing review materials for you. I asked my nephew, and he said that you can't just buy the review materials randomly. You have to check your current level first, and then buy according to your current level before you can buy it. It's just right for use. Zhang Lingzi. Can she say that she doesn't know what level she is? Although the original person did leave the knowledge he learned to her, it has been several years since the original person left school, and he has not been able to review the past and learn the new. So it is hard to say what his current level is. Tong Yu didn't wait for Zhang Lingzi's answer, but looking at her expression at this moment, she could guess that she was pretty much the same. Well, if you have some free time in the past 2 days while waiting for the notice, I will ask my nephew and me for some papers from the 1st to the 3rd year of high school. You can give them a try and then talk about it. Zhang Lingzi was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. In the past, she was the one who tested others, but now it was finally her turn to be tested. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 142. Auditions are still going on in an orderly manner. After finally hearing the prompt to prepare for the audition, Lin Suifei quickly suppressed the random thoughts in her mind, took the makeup bag handed by her assistant and quickly touched up her makeup. After sitting quietly for a while, she walked to a place near the infield gate and waited. But whether to continue auditioning for the role of Zhang Ling'an, which she was more optimistic about, or to take a step back and audition for another alternative role, she was still hesitant before stepping in. It wasn't until I stood on the stage and saw the looks of the health director and the judges that I gritted my teeth. Give it a try, she won't believe that she can be worse than Zhang Lingzi. -1 level. In fact, compared to the auditions of the main creative actors on the first floor, the auditions of the special actors on the negative floor are really more crowded. After all, there are only a few main creative actors, and the largest number of actors in a TV series are small roles with few roles. The entertainment industry is like a pyramid. Only a handful of people can reach the top levels. The largest ones are extras and some middle and lower level actors. For them, they won't miss the audition for Director Wei's new drama. Maybe if you get one of these small roles, your career will skyrocket. Many people came with this ambition, so you can imagine how many people came to audition. If the first floor is like a quiet high-end shopping mall, then the first floor below is like a noisy wet market. Zhang Ziu's face had not brightened up since he entered the negative level. Hearing the voices around him, which even though they were whispered, still made people feel like they were chattering due to the large number of people, his face became darker and darker. Xiao Tao used her somewhat chubby figure to occupy a small quiet area for her. Zhang Yuding went back to the car to get her noise-cancelling headphones, which made Zhang Ziu hold back from getting angry. Even though the audition time for each person for such a small role is kept within 2 minutes, and most of them only have 1 minute of performance time, there are too many people auditioning, and the waiting time is infinitely extended. Just when Zhang Ziu was so irritable that she could hardly hold on anymore, Zhang Yuding reached out and took off the headphones she was wearing. "Get ready, it's your turn next." Before Zhang Ziu could breathe a sigh of relief, he noticed something was wrong with Zhang Yuding's face. "What's wrong?" Zhang Yuding moved her mouth and then sighed. "The role you are planning to audition for, Qing Yuan, the maid of Emperor Yuan Zhao, has just been confirmed and a suitable candidate has been found. How about we?" "I don't." Before Zhang Yuding could finish her words, Zhang Ziu interrupted her in a sharp tone. He gritted his teeth and looked up at the large screen that was scrolling not far away. The screen lists all the special roles to be auditioned this time. The fonts for those who already have suitable candidates will turn green, followed by the name of the selected actor. The one who didn't choose the right actor is red. As for the role she was interested in, she had seen it as red just 10 minutes ago. She thought that as long as she auditioned, this role would be hers. But now it has turned green, and a person named Pei Xinyuan got there first. I don't know where this young actor came from, and he was playing the role for Su Qingmei. Why didn't he check that he was worthy? Zhang Ziu said, lifting up his skirt and rushing into the audition hall. "I want to watch it. Let's see who the assistant director in charge of the audition will choose between me and that Pei Xinyuan." Zhang Yuding stretched out her hand, but didn't stop her. Looking at her aggressive look, after thinking about it, I just ignored it. Her thoughts were similar to Zhang Ziu's. She had never heard of the name Pei Xinyuan at all. She probably was either a minor or an extra. If she were the director responsible for selecting people, she would definitely choose the more famous one. As for Pei Xinyuan, she could only say sorry in her heart. Who made you fall in love with a character you shouldn't have fallen in love with? Asterisk. The infighting in the audition hall cannot affect the tranquility of the lounge. Su Qingmei woke up after resting comfortably for half an hour. While eating the iced yogurt and fruit handed over by her assistant to wake up, she asked quietly, "Is the audition over outside?" "It will take about half an hour, sister. Do you want to go out for a walk? By the way, let's take a look at the quality of the actors in these auditions. After all, they will be supporting you later." Su Qingmei thought for a while and nodded. "It's okay, I haven't been in China in the past few years, and I don't know if the acting skills of domestic actors have deteriorated." After saying this, she put down the fruit fork and stood up lazily with the attentive help of her assistant. "I'm definitely not as good as you, sister." After leaving the lounge, not far along the corridor was the audition hall on the first floor. The two of them entered through the side door without disturbing the audition that was still in progress. Su Qingmei saw Wei Minmin sitting in the corner, so she simply walked to the side and sat down. She expected to hear Wei Minmin whispering hello to her soon, and she had even thought of the reason for coming. Unexpectedly, after waiting for almost 10 seconds, the person next to me seemed to be asleep, and there was no movement at all. Su Qingmei couldn't help frowning and turned to look over. I saw that this girl was obviously awake with her eyes open, but she seemed to be in a state of mind and didn't even notice her coming. Had no choice but to take the initiative. "Min." It was only after 2 calls that the person came back to his senses. "Ah, it's Sister Qingmei, why are you here?" "I was a little bored in the lounge, so I came over to see how everyone's audition went." Su Qingmei seemed to have no intention of saying, What were I thinking just now that I called you twice? No, it's nothing. Wei Minmin shook her head quickly, looking at Su Qingmei's eyes, and hesitated to speak. If she had learned earlier that her brother-in-law was planning to let Su Qingmei be the heroine, she would have totally agreed. She is famous and has good acting skills. Among the domestic actresses, there really is no one more suitable than Su Qingmei. But that was before the scene with Zhang Lingzi. And after that, even though Zhang Lingzi had left, her mind still thought of Zhang Lingzi's eyes that looked towards her when they were on stage. It was as if it had taken root in her brain and she couldn't pull it out, and she didn't want to pull it out for no reason. So when she saw Su Qingmei again, she realized that the balance in her heart had tilted towards Zhang Lingzi. But no matter which way the balance in her heart tilted, it was her uncle who made the final decision, not her. As for Su Qingmei, who didn't know that anyone had auditioned for the lead female role at this moment, she really didn't know what to say. I just think everyone performed well. That's good. As long as your acting skills are up to standard, I won't have to work hard to help you. Wei Minmin nodded casually with a slight hum. Half an hour passed, as the last actor finished the audition and bowed to leave. After Wei Xiao wrote down his evaluation of the actors on the paper, he put down the pen and couldn't help but stretch and let out a long sigh of relief. Professors, thank you for your hard work. I'm hosting tonight, and will be here. Before he could finish his words, he saw his eldest niece sitting in the corner, and Su Qingmei, who came over at some unknown time, and her tone was paused. I almost forgot, Teacher Su hasn't auditioned yet. I've kept Teacher Su waiting for a long time. How about we take a walk now? After hearing this, Su Qingmei was stunned for a moment and nodded with a smile, got up and walked towards the stage. Okay, Director Wei is really strict. Which part should I perform? Just then, Emperor Yuan Zhao sent Wei Fueying to go on an expedition. Minmin, you go and create a show. Wei Minmin nodded, followed on the stage, and stood opposite Su Qingmei. Director, you haven't given me my lines yet. Wei Xiao slapped his forehead and said, I forgot about it. He quickly took a pen and wrote on the note and asked someone to pass it over. Who asked Zhang Lingzi to act without even asking him for lines before she acted? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 143. Chapter 143. Zhang Lingzi doesn't look like she's acting. The general died in 100 battles. 5 minutes later. The audition hall returned to silence. Wei Minmin turned to look at the audience with a questioning look on her face. Wei Xiao couldn't help but raise his hand to wipe his face and nodded, okay, that's all. Before walking off the stage, Wei Minmin glanced at Su Qingmei, who was performing almost at the same time as her. It was the first time she had the opportunity to act with this now famous entertainment industry veteran, and she had just now truly felt his superb acting skills and his command of lines. Even if it's just a temporary scene, it's still impossible to find any shortcomings. However, she no longer felt the trembling feeling from the inside out throughout her body that she had experienced when she acted with Zhang Lingzi. That feeling cannot be expressed in words. Looking at it now, perhaps only Zhang Lingzi can feel it. Su Qingmei received Wei Minmin's gaze and thought she was marveling at her acting skills, so she smiled and praised, Minmin's acting skills are very good. I didn't hold anything back in the part just now, but I think Minmin can still handle it. It's quite relaxing. Director Wei is indeed a family. With her status in the entertainment industry, she is fully qualified to comment on the acting skills of most people in this industry. Wei Minmin couldn't help but pursed her lips when she heard what she said. The reason why she was able to perform stably in front of Su Qingmei just now, and was not even suppressed by the other party's acting skills, was that she believed in her own ability, but there was also something that could not be denied. She was still a little bit emotional, still immersed in the last scene. Even though Zhang Lingzi left her side long after the audition, she still couldn't get out of it completely. This will be the same scene again, and it will inevitably be affected by the residual emotions. Therefore, at this moment, if other people heard the praise that would make them jump with excitement, she just smiled modestly and said, "Sister Qingmei, thank you." Just when Su Qingmei was about to walk off the stage gracefully with her skirt in hand, Wei Xiao finally stopped his hand that had been drawing circles on the paper with a pen just now, and looked carefully at a name in the circle, "Teacher Su, please wait a moment." Su Qingmei's steps were a beat. I have seen other actors stay on stage after their auditions, waiting to be commented on. Is it possible that she still needs it? Wei Xiao said in a deep voice, "Teacher Su, why don't you try the role of Emperor Yuan Zhao's biological mother, Queen Yide?" Su Qingmei was stunned after hearing this request. When she came to her senses, the smile on her face faded by 3 points. "Queen Yide. Director Wei, what does this mean?" Wei Xiao also felt a little headache at this moment, but still held on to hope and patiently explained, "Emperor Yuan Zhao's biological mother, Empress Yide Fuqing Shan, was also a tiger girl in the general family. After entering the palace, her mother's demeanor was innumerable. Teacher Su just said the audition made me think that maybe this role is more suitable for you." But Su Qingmei did not feel that she was being comforted and said, "If I remember correctly, the role of Fu Qingshan can only be ranked as the third female role, even behind Wei Fuiying's role. Teacher Su must have known before he contacted me that I, Wei Xiao, never choose actors based on their talent. I only look at whether the actor fits my role." Su Qingmei narrowed her eyes, "So, Director Wei has found an actor who is more suitable for the role of Zhang Yuanzhao than me." Wei Xiao didn't say anything, but in Su Qingmei's eyes, this was acquiescence. "Then I'm really a little curious, who is this dark horse?" Wei Xiao slowly shook his head, "I'm sorry that I can't reveal the main creative roles until they are completely decided." Su Qingmei raised her head slightly, "The role of Queen Yide should be left to someone else, Director Wei. She doesn't care whether this role is really suitable for her, as Wei Xiao said, but as long as it's not the first female lead, she won't take it." She is a dignified Su Qingmei. She did not return to China just to be the third female lead in a TV series to make people laugh. The graceful figure disappeared behind the door a little hastily, and no one spoke in the audition hall for a while. After all, they all noticed the unhappiness between Wei Xiao and Su Qingmei just now. After a while, Wei Minmin, who couldn't stand the depression, tiptoed up to Wei Xiao and called out in a low voice, "Brother-in-law." Wei Xiao pinched his eyebrows and looked up at his eldest niece, "I'm fine. In fact, when I asked Su Qingmei what she said, I guessed that she would most likely not agree. But this is a work that he worked hard on, and naturally he wanted the actor who felt most suitable to play it. Even if he changes his mind on the spot, he still admits that he is wrong." Well, Wei Minmin saw the name circled on the paper in front of him. "Uncle, what do you mean, the first girl prefers Zhang Lingzi?" Wei Xiao also thought about it for a long time. It can be said that he has been thinking about it since watching Zhang Lingzi's audition. Until Su Qingmei auditioned for the same clip, he was actually more inclined to Su Qingmei, whom he had chosen early on. But after watching Su Qingmei's audition, he could not help but compare it with Zhang Lingzi's previous audition. It is true that Su Qingmei's acting skills are definitely better than Zhang Lingzi's, but sometimes, acting skills can't represent everything, at least this time. He couldn't tell, but he knew very well that if he gave up Zhang Lingzi and still chose Su Qingmei, he would probably regret it. "What about you, what do you think?" Wei Xiao asked Wei Minmin again. Wei Minmin pointed at her opponent, "Well, I also think Zhang Lingzi's acting is pretty good. No, I don't think she acts like one." Wei Xiao never thought that he could experience the feeling of enlightenment from his eldest niece. He then looked at the professors sitting next to him, Who do you think between the two of them is more in line with the historical Emperor Yuan Zhao? Several professors are usually obsessed with the study of history, and they have no idea about the popularity and status gap between Zhang Lingzi and Su Qingmei in the circle. At this moment, we were asked for our opinion. After discussing in a low voice for a while, one of the most senior professors replied, in terms of age, the one who just left is more suitable. But we still all agree that the little girl named Zhang Lingzi in front of us is more suitable. Our feeling is more consistent with the Emperor Yuan Zhao recorded in historical materials. These words undoubtedly made Wei Xiao more determined. Thank you a few professors for their opinions. Wei Minmin couldn't help but secretly rejoice. Uncle, can I play the role of Wei Fueying? In the past, she just wanted to get this cool role where she could play her ancestor, but now she has to add that she can't wait to play opposite Zhang Lingzi again. Because the eldest niece was getting too carried away, Wei Xiao poured cold water on him. You are not the only one who is auditioning for Wei Fueying. Your shortcoming is that you are too unstable. I have to think about it. Wei Minmin quickly stood up at attention, her face slumped. But Wei Xiao no longer looked at her. There's still a while before dinner, let's discuss the auditions of other actors. Although he has almost all the candidates for the female roles, there is really no male actor, especially the role of Shen Mocking, who plays the most important role, among the male actors who came to audition today, that he is particularly satisfied with. Let's talk about the role of Shen Mocking first. Among the actors who came to audition today, are there any actors that the professors think are suitable? Historical records record that Shen Mocking, the Prime Minister of Dayan during the Yuan Zhao period, was born in a noble family. He was talented, elegant, and had good looks and literary talents. When he was young, he even attracted people to throw fruit into the car. Later, there were rumors that in the Yuan dynasty after the death of Emperor Zhao, he actually did not die of illness, but lived in seclusion, because some people said that he saw an immortal coming and going, and it was this person he was talking about. The professor paused at this point. Although there are historical records, there may be some exaggeration in it, but you can also imagine the grace of this historical figure. As for those who came to audition today, he shook his head slowly. No one can compare to Shen Mocking. There is one person I know. Before Wei Xiao's eyes could light up, the professor shook his head, but he is not an actor in your circle, and he probably doesn't have time to act in TV series. Wei Xiao. Professor, you know how to whet your appetite. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 144. Chapter 144. The one who laughs last is the winner. Congratulations, I successfully got the role of Qing Yuan. So, in the final analysis, reputation is what matters in this industry. No matter how good Pei Xinyuan's acting skills are, what's the use? The director decided to reject her and choose me instead. Su Qingmei was walking forward expressionlessly. When she heard the conversation coming from behind, her feet stopped. The assistant on the side cautiously called out, "Sister." Before Su Qingmei could turn around to see who was speaking, her right arm was hit. Oops. Zhang Ziyu frowned and glanced at the sequined dress, then looked up at the person who was walking in front of him and suddenly stopped. Why did you stop leaving all of a sudden? Is there anyone behind you? Su Qingmei couldn't help but chuckle when she heard this complaint, turned around and said, "Are you teaching me how to do things?" Zhang Ziyu is still checking the fraying condition on the dress. This dress was specially borrowed for today. No matter how minor the damage is, he will have to pay for it. Losing money is not a big deal to her. The key is that if you damage the dress, the brand will think you don't cherish it enough. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to borrow it next time. This was the main reason why she couldn't help complaining. But this time, before she could speak back, her arm was slapped hard. Zhang Ziyu raised her head suddenly, and was about to glare at Zhang Yuding, who was slapping her, when she first saw the person standing in front of her. With such a graceful and classic face that makes people unable to guess her age, she really couldn't lie to herself that she didn't recognize him. The moment he recognized the person in front of him, the angry look on Zhang Ziyu's face instantly turned into an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, Teacher Su, I was walking too fast and didn't pay attention to the front. Didn't you get hurt by me?" At the same time, she secretly screamed in pain. She was so carried away just now. Why did she accidentally bump into this person? Looking at the rapidly changing face in front of her, Su Qingmei's eyes flashed with disgust. "So, it's not my fault." Zhang Ziyu quickly shook his head. "Of course not. But that's not what you just said." Zhang Ziyu's face stiffened. I was just quick to talk. I hope Mr. Su will forget what I just said." Su Qingmei curled her lips. It was hard to tell whether she was angry or not, but the words she said made Zhang Ziyu's hair stand on end. "Then you have to be careful of getting carried away and disaster comes from your mouth." After saying that, she didn't bother with this kind of person anymore, so she turned around and left. Zhang Ziyu looked at her back and stood there for a long time with clenched fists. "Cousin, what do you think she means by this? When the filming starts, she won't take the opportunity to put on my little shoes, right?" Zhang Yuding was also a little unsure, but she still comforted her. Those who have worked with Su Qingmei in the industry praise her as a dedicated person and kind-hearted person. "I shouldn't hate you because of such a trivial matter." After Zhang Ziyu heard what she said, he turned around and looked at her in disbelief. "You have been in the industry for such a long time, and you actually believe what people in this circle say?" Zhang Yuding was speechless. "Forget it, I can only hope that the nobleman forgets things more and forgets the unpleasantness just now by the time the filming starts. But this can comfort myself." Xiao Tao waited for a while and then asked cautiously, "Then, do you still want to go to Yunding restaurant?" Just now she was ordered to book a table at Yunding restaurant to celebrate. "What are you going to do? I'm not in the mood to eat now," Zhang Ziyu replied impatiently, waving his hand. "Go home." It wasn't until she got into the nanny car that Su Qingmei took off the mask she had kept on her face for a whole day. Only then did the assistant dare to ask, "Sister, didn't you agree to have dinner with the director after the audition and talk about the script? Why do you have to go back now?" Su Qingmei squinted her eyes and said in a faint voice with no emotion, "I'm quitting Wei Xiao's crew." The assistant beside him could be considered someone who had seen the world, but he was stunned for a while after hearing this. "Here, what's going on?" There was a sudden change of heart over there. Hearing the sudden heavy breathing beside her, Su Qingmei patted the back of the assistant's hand, who couldn't help but be angry. "Don't be angry, don't we see this kind of situation rarely abroad? But this is China. When you come back, which director who is planning to shoot a new drama will not support you? So I'm also very confused as to who made Wei Xiao change his mind." "Then I'll go and inquire about it right now," the assistant said, and was about to get his cell phone. Su Qingmei stopped her. "We can't check now. If it falls into Wei Xiao's eyes, it will make me lose. But I can't swallow this breath." "I can't swallow it either. When the news of my return to China spread, didn't Pan Zhengzhen take the initiative to contact me? Let's go back and give him a call. Just tell him about his role as the heroine of the IP script. I took it. As for the other things, you can decide, just go ahead and say it." The assistant immediately understood her plan, and her face became a little more cheerful. "Director Pan has a big IP, I heard that there are tens of millions of book fans alone, and Empress Yuan Zhao also has, can't compare." Su Qingmei nodded lightly. "I want to see how outstanding the heroine Wei Xiao chooses can be. It was Wei Xiao who forced her to compete in this arena, and she only believed in one thing: the one who laughs last in the arena is the winner." Asterisk. The main character Zhang Lingzi, who is talked about by many people, has no other thoughts at the moment. Her expression at this moment is as if she is facing her lifelong enemy. In fact, The so-called enemy is just a set of papers that were just printed out not long ago and still smell of ink, and a quick drying pen. Lu Zhengzheng closed the kitchen door and was cooking inside. Tong Yu was also doing work on her mobile phone in the living room. Both of them made a tacit agreement not to disturb someone who was frowning at the paper. Wow, Zhang Lingzi finally stopped flipping through the stack of papers in front of her, put down the quick drying pen she was not used to, and sorted out the messy papers. She raised her hand to signal to Tong Yu, "Sister Tong, I have done." So fast, Tong Yu was startled at first, stood up and walked over. "It seems you have a good memory, you haven't forgotten." She swallowed the word "how many" automatically when she walked to the table and saw a paper with few words written on it. She couldn't help but stretched out her hand and clicked the paper. "What do you call this?" Zhang Lingzi was a little embarrassed, but she shook her head honestly. "I can't do it. It can't be said that it won't happen at all." The memory left by the original owner still has a vague effect. But when she actually saw the test paper, she realized that if she wanted to completely absorb this knowledge and make it her own, she would need some time to change her inherent characteristics. Ideas. After all, more than 1,000 years have passed. The question format of this test paper cannot be said to be incomprehensible, I can only be said to be completely incomprehensible. Tong Yu was silent for a long time, and finally sighed deeply. If this is the case, simply reading the tutorial books and watching online teaching videos may not be very effective, so you need to hire a tutor who can teach students according to their aptitude. Zhang Lingzi, like my brother. The key is that your brother can concentrate on studying at home or attending tutoring classes step by step. You still have a serious job. Tutors can't follow you all over the world, right? Even if you can join the director's crew for filming, this filming will also bring you even if you have a tutor. I'm afraid the director of human health won't allow it. Zhang Lingzi, speechless. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 145. Chapter 145 Speculations. Until Lu Zhengzheng prepared a table of meals, the two of them could not come up with a solution to this problem in a short time. Tong Yu helped put away the pile of papers with terrible answers. "Reviewing is not urgent, so let's eat first." Lu Zhengzheng nodded as he took off his apron. He wiped the water on his hands with his apron and then picked up the phone that had been away for half an hour. He refreshed the news on the interface and waited until he saw the top one. The one with the word explosive on the display screamed in surprise. Tong Yu pulled up the chair for a moment, and was not surprised to see Lu Zhengzheng's eyes widening. As he sat down, he asked, "What other gossip news have you seen again? I'm always so surprised." "Fortunately, my heart is fine." "No, Sister Tong, it's really exciting this time." "It's about Sister Zixi." "No, it's about Director Wei's crew, it's about Su Qingmei." Tong Yu heard her finish speaking somewhat incoherently, and her hands had already moved away from the original target of the chopsticks. He transferred to Lu Zhengzheng and took the phone out of Lu Zhengzheng's hand. "Let me take a look." After she finished reading the latest entertainment headlines that had been clicked on the page, she turned her eyes to Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting aside. When Zhang Lingzi saw this, she understood. "It seems to be related to me." Tong Yu opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say for a while. Finally, she chose to hand over the phone and said, "You better see it yourself." #ICGZA.xml. After reading the following text and the top comments, Zhang Lingzi returned the phone to Lu Zhengzheng. Concluded, Su Qingmei has joined the cast of The Legend of Qing Chang and plays the heroine Yu Qing Chang. Tong Yu and Lu Zhengzheng nodded subconsciously. But Teacher Su also showed up at the audition of Empress Yuan Zhao during the day. Lu Zhengzheng suddenly paused when she said this, and widened her eyes to look at Zhang Lingzi, who was already calmly picking up the food. Tong Yu has already thought of a possibility that she is still not sure about. Since Su Qingmei has chosen to play the heroine in The Legend of the Fallen City, then the heroine of Empress Yuan Zhao will definitely not be her, then. What follows, she still didn't dare to say it. Mainly because it feels a bit unreal. Zhang Lingzi said for her, I am Zhang Yuan Zhao. Tong Yu couldn't help but laugh, well, let's not say it so absolutely yet. We won't finalize it until the notification from the crew arrives. Zhang Lingzi, okay. No one believes the truth. Although she said she couldn't be happy so early, Tong Yu ate the next meal with a grin on her face. Unlike them who were purely happy after seeing the news, others who saw the news were basically shocked and confused, as well as regretful and relieved. It's a big deal, isn't Su Qingmei the unofficial heroine of Empress Yuan Zhao? How come she became the heroine of The Legend of the Allure again? I heard that Su Qingmei showed up at the audition for Empress Yuan Zhao yesterday. Is it possible that director Wei didn't even take a fancy to Su Qingmei? That Su Qingmei, I can't even look down on this person. How high-minded our health director must be. I just want to say that while I was still auditioning for Empress Yuan Zhao, I became the heroine of The Legend of the Allure. If you have the resources, you will be willful. I just want to know now, since Su Qingmei is not the heroine of Empress Yuan Zhao, who did director Wei choose to play the heroine? Who else in this circle can suppress Su Qingmei? Similar words echoed at many people's dinner tables. Shimin, who saw the news, was the one who regretted it. She was the third female lead in order to avoid Su Qingmei, and now Su Qingmei has turned her head to another crew, so if she auditions for the female lead during the day, might she have a chance to succeed? As soon as this idea came up, even though I knew that director Wei didn't even choose Su Qingmei, he probably wouldn't choose her, but I couldn't stop it. I simply put down my chopsticks and went to the sofa in the living room to make a video call with my manager. Can you find out what happened between director Wei and Su Qingmei during the day? Su Qingmei was already present at the audition, so it was impossible for her to turn around and go to another crew for no reason. Not to mention giving up such a good role, I might offend director Wei. The agent in the video shook his head in embarrassment. Both director Wei and Su Qingmei are very tight-lipped. If they don't say I don't have the ability, I wouldn't dare even if I have the channels. Both sides have a lot of energy, but their side is weak in comparison. Shimin thought the same thing. I said the wrong thing in a hurry, so I can only guess whether the two of them had some trouble. It shouldn't be possible. Although director Wei has a bit of a hot temper and can speak outright, he is still easy to talk to among directors. Needless to say, Su Qingmei has never lost her composure in front of the public and maintains her reputation better than anyone else. If the two can still have trouble, then the entertainment industry will be turned upside down. However, although The Legend of the Fallen City is also a big IP, has a lot of fans, and became popular before it was even filmed, if I had to choose, I would still choose Empress Yuan Zhao. This is a 100% star drama. The two of them frowned and thought hard across the screen for a while, and Shimin suddenly hissed softly. What's wrong? Did you remember something? Zhang Lingzi. What? I'm talking about Zhang Lingzi. Didn't I go over to say hello when I was waiting for the audition? At that time, Zhang Lingzi said that she was going to audition for the role of the female lead. Could it be? Impossible, she was interrupted by her manager on the other side of the screen before she could finish. Isn't it funny that Zhang Lingzi's acting skills can surpass Su Qingmei's? I didn't say it because of the occasion, and I didn't expect that her manager people actually agree. It seems they are all aiming too high and will never go far. Shimin wanted to say that she thought the girl was pretty good when getting along with Zhang Lingzi, but this time she had the same opinion. Seeing her manager's confident look, she swallowed her words. Then we can only wait for the official announcement from the crew of Empress Yuan Zhao. With director Wei's temperament, we shouldn't have to wait too long before we know the answer. Don't be too sorry. The role of Fu Qingshan is also very good, the manager comforted. If you play the role well, it will be no worse than the heroine in The Legend of the City. and you were the queen at the beginning, and the one in the legend of the city became the queen at the end. Queen. Shiman couldn't help but smile. Your consolation is quite unique, but I do feel better. I won't say anything anymore. I'll go back and continue eating. See you tomorrow. Asterisk. Zhangziu was the one who breathed a sigh of relief. She suddenly realized, no wonder I felt that Su Qingmei was not in a good mood when I bumped into her in the evening. It turns out that the heroine is gone. Zhang Yuding was more puzzled. Who did director Wei choose to be the heroine? I remember that Shiman also went to the audition. Is it possible that it could be her? The two discussed for a while, but they could not decide who was more qualified to play the heroine than Su Qingmei. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about Su Qingmei being able to put on my shoes on the set. Zhang Ziu said. Something suddenly occurred to him, and turned to look at Xiao Tao, who was listening to them quietly. By the way, a reservation at Yunding restaurant. Xiao Tao's shoulders trembled. If you can't say no, I will cancel it. Zhang Ziu kicked him over. Can't you do something to make me feel comfortable? The pain coming from the calf bone made Xiao Tao grit her teeth and groaned. Then, should I make a new appointment? What's this? I'm not going to eat. After venting his anger, Zhang Ziu felt a little better. He stood up and went back to the bedroom. I'm going to bed. Don't disturb me if you have nothing to do. However, she couldn't sleep well. She had a dream. She dreamed that she was filming on the set of Empress Yuan Zhao, and her character was the character of Qing Yuan, who was stolen from her. She was facing the actor who played Emperor Yuan Zhao in front of the camera. Salute respectfully. The other party asked her to get up before she could get up. When she stood up and looked up, she saw that under the magnificent and majestic imperial clothes, it was Zhang Lingzi's face that she hated and was vaguely envious of. In the middle of the night, it scared her awake. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 146. Chapter 146. Pays in Yuan. This piece of news not only caused a lot of discussion among people in the circle who were paying attention to the matter, but also caused a lot of fans of The Legend of Qing Chang and fans of Su Qingmei. The time when this news came out was also coincidental. It happened to be around 6 o'clock in the afternoon, when young people were getting off work. When everyone checks their mobile phones on the subway or bus, they just happen to get such a piece of news. Fans of The Legend of the Fallen City expressed their enthusiasm, and Su Qingmei's fans also went to the idol's homepage to express their blessings and expectations. Originally, I was worried that the actor would ruin the drama version of Yu Qing Cheng, but now that I know it is Su Qingmei, I am sure. The filming of the drama has not started yet, and it will probably not be until next year when it starts airing. This is a rhythm that we have to wait and see. Haha, I am both a fan of The Legend of Qing Cheng and a fan of Sister Qingmei. Now my life is complete. Those in the industry who saw these comments felt somewhat sad. Regardless of the reason why Su Qingmei chose to leave the crew of Empress Yuan Zhao, she can turn around and become the heroine of another big IP. As soon as it is officially announced, it can arouse so much enthusiasm, and almost no one is watching it. Bad. This resource and this appeal can be summed up in 2 words, envy. When can I be like her? This is the voice of countless young actors at this moment. Asterisk. In a shared house near the Imperial City Film and Television City, Pei Xinyuan silently finished eating the bowl of instant noodles that her roommate had made for her. She stood up and picked up the bowl and was about to go to the kitchen to clean it when she heard her roommate Han Jiaojiao exclaim on her phone. She paused and asked smoothly, "What's wrong?" Su Qingmei joined the cast of The Legend of the Fallen City. Didn't we see her when we went to audition during the day? What's going on? Could it be that she has to be the heroine of two crews? Can she be busy? Pei Xinyuan listened to what she said and went into the kitchen. While washing the dishes, he replied, "It's probably not possible. The heroine's role is so important. It's impossible to film two movies at the same time." "That's true, then, the heroine of Empress Yuan Zhao should be someone else. No matter who it is." Pei Xinyuan put the washed dishes on the shelf, turned around and walked out. "That has nothing to do with me." Han Jiaojiao paused while scrolling through her phone, then looked up at Pei Xinyuan with a little more sympathy in her eyes. "Don't be depressed, you see, even Su Qingmei didn't become the heroine of Empress Yuan Zhao, let alone what's more, it's a small role like ours. And it's not because of your poor acting skills. It's because of your fame that you were squeezed out. To put it bluntly, you won without force." After a pause, he couldn't help but complain, "I thought that the director was really like what he said on the internet, he didn't look at fame and background and only looked at individual acting skills. It turned out to be a lie." Pei Xinyuan just felt better because of her comfort just now. Hearing what she said next, he couldn't help but correct him, "You can't say that. The person who auditioned for us was the assistant director, not the director. Isn't the assistant director also working under Director Wei? People have thousands of faces, and it is impossible for Director Wei to have only people like him." Han Jiaojiao's eyes were a little more suspicious. "I suspect that you have a filter for Director Wei. You are still speaking for him even though he is so miserable." Pei Xinyuan's hand wiping the table stiffened. "I'm just discussing things." Okay, now I think there is no chance for us to join the crew of Empress Yuan Zhao. Why don't we just try to join the crew of The Legend of the Fallen City? But I still want to try the Empress. Han Jiaojiao couldn't help but widen her eyes. "Pei Xinyuan, aren't you? There are only a few small special roles left in the Empress. You are also a person who has passed the exam. Is it possible that you still want to turn around and go back to play a series, a small character with very few lines? Is the crew really that good?" Pei Xinyuan knew that Han Jiaojiao said this for her own good. From the time she left home to now, she has been rejected by many crews, big and small. "I've long been used to it." But this time, she couldn't explain where the lingering unwillingness in her heart came from. She could only reply, "I still prefer the script Empress Yuan Zhao." Han Jiaojiao was speechless for a long time because of her reason. "Little actors like us don't say much in the industry, but they don't say much. How can we choose the crew? It's always the crew who choose. Let's forget it. Since we have been roommates for 2 years and we haven't separated yet, I'll go with you again tomorrow." "Then thank you, Jiaojiao." "No, it's mainly because I don't have any filming scheduled for tomorrow, so I have nothing to do. Maybe I'll get lucky and miss a small role when I go there. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat to us." Pei Xinyuan smiled and nodded. "Okay, go to bed and recuperate before fighting tomorrow." The two of them gave each other a cheering gesture, then turned around and went back to their respective bedrooms. Pei Xinyuan covered herself with the quilt, thinking that she would have some insomnia due to what happened during the day, but she didn't expect that she fell asleep not long after lying down. "I also had a somewhat unexpected dream." Early the next morning, Han Jiaojiao was woken up by the alarm clock. She got up and came out of her bedroom. She was a little surprised to see that the door of the bedroom opposite was still closed. You must know that Pei Xinyuan is usually much more diligent than her, and she will occasionally be lazy and give herself a day or two off, but Pei Xinyuan is either auditioning or filming 365 days a year, and never lets herself stop. Even when she gets up every day, Pei Xinyuan usually wakes up almost half an hour earlier than her. The reason why she and Pei Xinyuan have been living together for 2 years is not only because he has a good temper, but also because she doesn't have to fight for the bathroom to wash up in the morning, and she can also have breakfast prepared by her roommate. For a lazy person like her, Pei Xinyuan was an excellent roommate. But this time, She had already gotten up, but Pei Zinyuan hadn't gotten up yet. Han Jiaojiao didn't bother to go to the bathroom first thing after getting up. She walked to Pei Zinyuan's bedroom door and was about to knock on the door when she heard a faint sound coming from inside. She heard something was wrong in the sound. She quickly leaned close to the door and listened with bated breath. She heard a cry coming into her ears, and it seemed that she was shouting, "Your Majesty." Suddenly, she felt so guilty that she thought the girl was hiding in the room crying and that her feelings were just a dream. But isn't this too deep into the drama? She raised her hand and knocked on the door. "Pei Zinyuan, wake up. I have to go to the audition later, but I can't keep crying like this. My eyes will be swollen from crying, and that's it." After waiting at the door for almost 2 minutes, the bedroom door opened. Han Jiaojiao looked at Pei Zinyuan's eyes for the first time and saw that the eyelids were only a little red. Then she breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "What are you dreaming about? You cried so much that I heard it outside the door." Pei Zinyuan raised her hand to cover her eyes in embarrassment. "I forgot about it as soon as I woke up, and I made you laugh." Actually, she still has some residual memories, but for some reason she just doesn't want to talk about them. Fortunately, Han Jiaojiao didn't care. "This is what I dreamed about. Just to be on the safe side, I'd better put some ice on it. I'll make breakfast today. Let's set off after breakfast." "Good." Looking at Han Jiaojiao's busy back, Pei Zinyuan took ice cubes from the refrigerator, wrapped them in a towel and put them on his eyelids. The coolness conveyed from the ice cubes made her mind clear. If she was just unwilling to give in and wanted to try again last night, then now, even if she can only play a small role with only a back view, she will join the cast of Empress Yuan Zhao. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 147. Chapter 147. The Heroine's Substitute. The person in charge of the audition is still the assistant director from yesterday. Seeing Pei Zinyuan walking in from the outside, he was stunned for a moment. He obviously recognized her, but soon returned to normal. "Pei Zinyuan, right? The little girl is quite persistent." Before coming here, although Pei Zinyuan warned herself not to act on impulse, she was still a little upset when she saw that the same assistant director who had mercilessly dismissed her yesterday was auditioning for her. "I couldn't help but whispered back, 'Isn't it bad to be persistent?' She regretted it after saying that. She pursed her lips and glanced at the face opposite her that was obviously a little unhappy. I'm here to audition for the role of the palace maid Yuji this time. Yuji and Qing Yuan have the same status. Historically, they were both palace maids serving Emperor Yuan Zhao. However, Yuji is not as senior as Qing Yuan. According to the palace maid grades, Qing Yuan is the first class and Yuji is the second class. The role of Yuji is the role is not as good as that of Qing Yuan, but this is the only palace maid role that has not yet been confirmed. The assistant director laughed when he heard this and waved his hand. "The role of Yuzi has been decided." Pei Zinyuan suddenly became anxious, "But I saw that the character on the big screen outside was still red. It's just that I haven't had time to change it yet. In this way, you can either choose other small roles or give up." Pei Zinyuan saw his eyes twinkling, and knew that these words were probably just an excuse. "Having been in this circle for so long, I have naturally faced some potential rules. There is no point in arguing. In the end, the one who suffers is the one who is weak and has no backing." But her silence turned into dissatisfaction in the eyes of the assistant director. "If you ask me, there are no good choices for the remaining roles. There are only 1 or 2 lines in the whole play. I also saw your acting skills yesterday, so just choose any one." "But There was a slight cough from the side door. Pei Zinyuan paused and turned to look at the visitor. He has thick eyebrows and a flat head, and has a lean build. He looked so familiar that she didn't even dare to recognize him. It's also because I really didn't expect that this person would come to the audition hall for young actors like them. Before she could say hello, the assistant director who was sitting upright stood up quickly. Director Wei, why did you take the time to come here? Wei Xiao walked up to the assistant director with his hands behind his back and pushed him back. I came to see if you are done. Why did I come here and see you chatting with the little girl who came to audition? Just a few words about my thoughts on the crew. Director Wei, please sit down. This girl wants to audition for the role of Yuji, but the role is already taken. Pei Xinyuan opened his mouth and wanted to explain himself. After seeing the warning in the assistant director's eyes, he gritted his teeth and swallowed. If she still wants to join the crew, she can't offend the person who can decide whether to keep such a small role like her. Wei Xiao picked up the information on the table and glanced at it casually, then looked at the little girl standing opposite who looked a bit stubborn, and suddenly said, Pei Xinyuan, show me your side and back, right? Pei Xinyuan was stunned when he heard it, and then he followed the instructions in confusion. After reading it, Wei Xiao couldn't help but nodded. I saw it right just now. He just happened to pass by the audition hall by chance. The reason why he changed his mind and walked in was precisely because the casual glance at the back almost made him think that Zhang Lingzi was here again. Until I saw the front, I realized that they were two completely different faces, but the profile and back looked very much like Zhang Lingzi. Assistant Director Gang Lin said that the role you want to audition for has already been selected. Are you willing to be a stand-in? A stand-in? What kind of stand-in? Seeing the little girl's immediately wary look, Wei Xiao found it a bit funny, and patiently explained, it's not the kind of stand-in that requires the use of certain body parts as you think, it's just a back stand-in, and a standing stand-in and the like. Pei Xinyuan thought for a moment and took a deep breath. Then do I know who I am a substitute for? The heroine, Zhang Yuanzhao. Okay, I do. This time, Wei Xiao raised his eyebrows in surprise. So happy? You have to know that you, the substitute, cannot show your face in the whole drama. If you agree, you can't go back on it. It can be said that except for face substitutes, other types of substitutes cannot show their faces. If you play some small roles, you will still have a chance to show your face. As long as I can join the group. This sentence could be heard to be sincere in the urgency, which made Wei Xiao amused. That's okay, Assistant Director Lin remembers to prepare a contract for the female lead stand-in for him. Assistant Director Lin nodded quickly. Don't worry, Director Wei. Director Wei is still very good, and he found a substitute for the heroine in no time. No need to compliment me, just keep busy with your work, I'm leaving. Watching Wei Xiao wave his hand and leave without taking away a single cloud, Assistant Director Lin looked at Pei Xinyuan, who couldn't help but feel happy. While making notes, he sighed, it's not like there are no other roles for you to audition for. Although the stand-in can be with the team, but you couldn't show your face during the whole process, and you weren't included in the cast. It's good that you were still in high spirits. He also thought that what he did yesterday and today was indeed a bit unethical for this girl. Now that the other party was noticed by the Director of Health, although he was just a stand-in, he still had his name, so he gave a rare comfort. But this time it's Director Wei's turn to show up, and the stand-in is pretty good. There are some people who are famous as stand-ins in the industry, so do your best. Pei Xinyuan bowed slightly to him and said, thank you, Assistant Director, for the tip. Regardless of whether the other person's words were true or false, she had to appreciate them. Go ahead, we'll notify you when you sign the contract. Keep your phone on and don't miss calls. Coming out of the audition hall, Pei Xinyuan saw Han Jiaojiao waiting outside. How is it, have you got the mooncake? No. Ah, Han Jiaojiao's face suddenly fell. Worried about the people around her, she could only lower her voice and angrily said, you passed the Qingyuan audition yesterday, how could Yuji not pass? Is it possible that you are memorizing words with this crew? Pei Xinyuan quickly covered her mouth when she heard the last sentence. Listen to what I have to say. Although I failed to audition for you as E this time, I did audition to be the heroine stand-in. Substitute. Han Jiaojiao was immediately shocked. Seeing that her roommate was quite happy, she couldn't help but reached out and touched her forehead. You don't have a fever either. Why can't you think of being a substitute, even if it's the heroine? If you are a substitute, then you still can't show your face, right? Pei Xinyuan took off Han Jiaojiao's hand and said, I don't have a fever. I want it. Han Jiaojiao saw the seriousness in her eyes. Although she still didn't understand it, she didn't say anything else. You just told me, what about you, did the audition go well? It's not bad. Han Jiaojiao touched her face. You also know that with my appearance, my acting career is narrow. This time I can audition for the role of the third concubine in the general's mansion, and I am satisfied. I still have 3 lines left. Which 3 sentences? Sir, please forgive me, I know my guilt, haha, no more than 10 words in total, not bad. Other times, I just sit in the corner and use it as a backdrop. It's much easier than being a substitute like you. Stepping out of the door, Pei Xinyuan looked back at the audition hall that he had entered twice before. Seeing this, Han Jiaojiao snorted softly. When the crew starts filming, a certain actor named Zhang will probably not expect that you will enter the crew with other identities. It will definitely scare her. Pei Xinyuan looked away and shook his head amusedly. People probably don't know who I am, so they shouldn't be scared. But this time the character she had already obtained was robbed. She made a mental note. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 148. Chapter 148. Visit. Girl, the road ahead is closed to cars. There are still about 300 meters left. You can get out of the car and walk over. Zhang Lingzi finished replying to the message sent by Zhang Wenhui, put down her phone and looked up ahead. The narrow streets are lined with shops with various signboards, as well as stalls set up randomly on the roadside selling snacks, vegetables, or daily necessities. From time to time, there are some children running from one side of the street to the other side of the street to invite friends. It is really difficult for the driver to drive through. Okay, let's do it here. Okay, don't forget to pick up your belongings. After getting off the bus with the nutritional supplements and fruits she bought, Zhang Lingzi paid the fare on her mobile phone and was about to turn on the navigation when her mobile phone rang first. She pressed the connect button and said, Enan. Sister, where are you now? It's not easy to find our place, and it's not convenient for a car to come in. Please tell me where to get off, and I'll pick you up. What a coincidence, I just got off the bus, and now I'm here. Zhang Lingzi raised her head and looked around. There's a Xingshan breakfast shop next to it. I know where it is. Sister, wait for me. I will be there in 5 minutes. Okay, don't worry. Hang up the phone, and there happens to be an electric tricycle full of goods coming towards me. Zhang Lingzi quickly leaned toward the street again, and the tricycle almost brushed her arm and drove past. There was another greeting from behind. Would you like to eat, girl? She looked back and saw the lady selling breakfast in the breakfast shop looking towards her enthusiastically and waving her hand. No need, sister, I've had breakfast. After she stood at the door of the store for more than a minute, she was greeted cordially by the eldest sister. Girl, are you waiting for someone? I see you have brought a lot of things. The stools and tables next to you belong to me. You can sit wherever you want. Zhang Lingzi thanked him again and sat down. Just when the enthusiastic elder sister was about to go to the water dispenser to get her a glass of water, Zhang Lingzi saw Su Ling'an running over, stood up, and waved, Enan, here. Su Ling'an ran to Zhang Lingzi and took 2 deep breaths. After breathing well, she said, I kept you waiting for a long time, Sister, he turned around and saw the nutrition and gifts on the table beside him. Sister, I'm here right now. Why, bringing so many things? It is a courtesy and cannot be invalidated. Su Ling'an didn't know what to say when he settled down. I'll help my sister carry it. Just as the eldest lady from the breakfast shop came out, her eyes lit up when she saw Su Ling'an. It's Anan, I'm sorry, this girl is your guest. By the way, Anan, don't leave yet. I'll give you something to eat. I can still have it at noon, 2 more dishes. No need, Aunt Wang. The other party had already brought out a few plastic bags very quickly and stuffed them into Su Ling'an's hands without saying anything. Aunt Wang also wants to thank you for helping our Xingxin review her homework. You don't want to charge for tutoring fees. I can't help but eat at the main office, come on. Aunt Wang will be angry if you don't pick her up. Su Ling'an had no choice but to take it over and said, thank you, Aunt Wang. If Xingxin has any questions that you don't understand, just come and see me. I usually stay at home with Grandma. I know you are a filial child, so go back quickly and don't keep your guests waiting. Su Ling'an's family consists of 2 grandchildren, and now there is also Su Lei, who just came out of the juvenile detention center. It is rare to see guests coming to visit. Not to mention that such a noble and generous girl does not seem to appear in a village in a run-down city like theirs. Wang Shiyun was not curious, but for some reason she did not dare to inquire more. At this moment, looking at the backs of the 2 people leaving with their things, I could only dare to whisper in a low voice, I don't know where they are relatives. They seem to have good intentions. I hope I can help them. It should be said that every family in this urban village is not very wealthy, or else they would have gone to the city to buy a house and live in a high-rise building, but at least they can still guarantee that they have enough food and clothing and family happiness. Only Gao Lan and Su Ling'an, the grandson and grandson, seemed to be unwilling to see them live a good life. They were obviously good people who were kind to others, but they had a harder time than ordinary people like them. They neighbors can occasionally help, but they still have to take care of their own homes, so their help is really limited. After walking out for a while, Zhang Lingzi looked at Su Ling'an, who was walking next to her. You are about to take the college entrance examination and you have to take care of your grandma. Now you have to help your classmates with their homework. How can you handle it? Don't worry, sister, Su Ling'an said palely. His little face was full of confidence, I won't delay my studies. While helping my classmates to review, I also reviewed together. And now I have brothers Ioli helping me, so I have no problem. That's good, your body is important and you can't force it. She often said this to Jinan in her previous life. Su Ling'an's answer was no different from Jinan's. He agreed readily, sister, I know. Following the twists and turns along the alleys of varying widths, Su Ling'an reached out and pointed forward, that's home. Zhang Lingzi looked in the direction of her finger and glanced at the 2-story building with mottled outer walls before her eyes fell on the tall, thin old man standing in front of the building. The old man was accompanied by Su Lei, and not surprisingly, it was Grandma Su Ling'an. Miss Zhang. Zhang Lingzi walked up to the old man and nodded, hello Grandma, could you please come out and pick her up personally? It was also the first time for Gao Lan to see a celebrity in real life. In her opinion, celebrities were all dressed up very delicately and looked dazzling, but the girl in front of her was very low-key from head to toe. How can I put it, it made her he looks extremely comfortable, and his favorability level is up. It must be quite a long way for you to come here. Come in and sit down and take a rest first. Being held by a handful of calluses and wrinkles, Zhang Lingzi had no choice but to hand the thing in her hand to Su Lei and follow the old man into the house. The weather in late May was already a bit hot, but the house was quite cool. While sitting down, Zhang Lingzi looked around the room without leaving any trace. Very simple decoration, both the house and the furniture look very old. When she looked back, Su Ling'an had already handed over a glass of water. She took it and took a sip before putting it on the coffee table. I heard from Anan that Grandma was hospitalized because of a headache. Is she feeling well now? Gao Lan waved his hand. I have a habit of getting headaches. If I accidentally blow the wind, it will hurt easily. If you ask me to lie down at home for a few days, it will be fine. But this girl is more nervous than me. She is much better now, otherwise the doctor would not agree with me to be discharged from the hospital. Go see a doctor when you feel sick, and is doing the right thing. Su Lingyan stood aside and puffed up his chest. Look, sister has the same views as me. Okay, I can't compete with you two. Su Lei looked at the three women in front of him and stood up. Grandma, Sister 11, Anan, you guys can chat, I'll go to the kitchen to cook. Three women are performing a show, and it doesn't seem to be of any use for him to sit next to it. After chatting for a while, Zhang Lingzi felt that she quite liked the grandmother Su Lingyan. Although the old lady is old, she does not complain about anything. On the contrary, she is very open-minded. But if you think about the twists and turns in the old man's life, if you still can't look away, then it will be too painful. Until we talked about the old man, we also watched the TV series that the original actor had acted in before. Zhang Lingzi said, those TV series were those that I picked up casually because I was ignorant. You can just watch them for fun. I'm inviting you over for dinner this time. Doesn't it affect my work or filming? I haven't been busy these days. I just auditioned for a role in a TV series 2 days ago, but the crew hasn't informed me yet. Gao Yian's title has changed from Miss Zhang to Xiao 11 at the beginning. Xiao 11, you must be able to do it. Can you tell me what kind of TV series it is? I'll follow it when it starts airing. Speaking of this, Zhang Lingzi glanced at Su Lingyan, who was sitting obediently next to her. It's a historical drama that roughly tells the life of Empress Yuan Zhao. As her voice fell, Su Lingyan's eyes lit up. My favorite part in history class is this period of history. What role is my sister auditioning for? Emperor Yuan Zhao, Zhang Yuan Zhao. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 149. Chapter 149. I hope she never knows my identity. Unexpectedly, the rice cooked by Su Lei tastes very good. After being praised by Zhang Lingzi, the young man with a crew cut and a scar who looked a bit fierce suddenly looked silly and happy. Sister 11 still has discernment. I accompanied the leader to a restaurant for dinner a few days ago, and the restaurant owner heard me taste it. You can tell what condiments are used in his dishes with just one bite, and he even wants me to join the kitchen of his restaurant. Then why didn't you go? Zhang Lingzi thought about how she had seen Su Lei working in the supermarket before. You also found a job selling meat in the supermarket at Nanjing No. 3 Middle School. You probably won't make as much money as you did by working in the kitchen. It's not you. Strengths. Su Lei's face stiffened and he laughed dryly. Sister 11, do you still remember this? Zhang Lingzi noticed something was wrong, and looked at the old man and Su Lingyan sitting next to him, and saw that both of them changed their faces. Gao Lan preemptively asked, didn't you say you found a job running errands for the big boss? Helping the big boss sell meat? Su Lingyan also pouted, Brother Xiaoli, you lied again. Su Lei suddenly became anxious. Oh, Grandma, Anan, please listen to my explanation. Zhang Lingzi pursed her lips, silently put down her chopsticks, and looked sympathetically at Su Lei, who was scratching his head anxiously. She really didn't mean it. Wasn't this just a rush of words? I think Anan will take the college entrance examination soon. Now the weather is getting hotter and the sun sets later. There are also a lot of barbecue stalls in our area. There are always people who come out to drink and eat barbecue in the evening. Okay, Stop talking. Gao Lan raised his hand, picked up a piece of braised pork and put it in his bowl. Grandma knows what you are worried about. Su Ling'an also picked up a piece of ribs and said, Brother Xiaoli, I wrongly blamed you. No wonder I always feel like someone is following me these days. It turns out you are following me. Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but remain silent when he saw this. She has just walked a short distance in this area. When it comes to security, it can be said that there is no security at all. Compared to the rest of the imperial capital, it is dilapidated and chaotic. Su Lei's concerns are very forward-looking. This kind of thing is not afraid of 10,000, but afraid of just in case. She wanted to live somewhere else. If she had no money, she could put it down first. These days, when she is not busy, she has also counted the assets on hand. Compared with other actresses of the same status in the industry, her assets can indeed be ranked at the bottom, but compared with ordinary people, they are still small. Now that you have assets, renting a house is easy. But she thought of the old man's lost daughter and the adoptive mother who had brought Su Ling'an back. The reason why the grandfather and grandson stayed here without moving was probably because they were still hoping that their daughter and mother would one day find their way home. There is less than a month left before the college entrance examination. I will quit my job in the supermarket after Anand's college entrance examination. Even Sister 11 praised my craftsmanship. Are you still worried that I won't be able to find a job? Su Lei looked optimistic as he bit into the braised pork. Maybe the owner of that restaurant is still waiting for me. The three of them were all amused by his confidence. After dinner, Gao Lan wanted to go back to the bedroom to rest. Zhang Lingzi was not in a hurry and followed Su Ling'an upstairs. There are 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, and the area is not large. When Su Ling'an opened the door to her bedroom and Zhang Lingzi looked in, her first impression was, there are so many books. A small bed measuring 1.2 meters occupies almost half of the small room. The wardrobe is in the corner. In addition, the desk by the window, the shelf beside the bed, and the open space opposite the bed are densely packed with items. Book. There is only a small passage that can only allow people to walk sideways. These books are not decorations. If you get closer, you can see the traces of being frequently read. There are so many books, but there is no dust at all. Su Ling'an pulled up the chair in front of the desk and said, Sister, please sit down first. As he spoke, he took the feather duster and brushed the neatly made bed. If Sister is sleepy, please rest on my bed. I just changed the sheets this morning. Zhang Lingzi looked at the small bed in front of her where her knees could touch the chair she was sitting on. Then where are you sleeping? I usually don't take a lunch break. Su Ling'an smiled and pointed to the desk. I don't like taking a lunch break either. This time is just right. Make a paper. Zhang Lingzi. She turned her head and glanced at the paper that was currently pressed by her arm. The gaps on it were densely written in delicate fonts. There were not even any typos. She felt very comfortable at a glance. I thought about the paper that I got a terrible answer on. The comparison is terrible. She nodded, yes, very hard-working. It's okay, Su Ling'an smiled modestly, the main thing is that I like studying very much. Zhang Lingzi was slightly startled. These words sound familiar. Sister, why can only men be called literary greats? I also like literature, and I want to be a literary great among women in the future, shocking the jaws of those old diehards who look down on us. 2 equally thin figures seemed to overlap at this moment. Elder sister. Zhang Lingzi came back to her senses and pressed her knuckles against her temples. When the pain hit her, her mind returned to clarity. It's okay, I'll go to sleep. Lying on the small bed, if you tilt your head slightly, you can see the back of the little girl sitting upright facing the window. Because of the silence, you can hear clearly the rustle of the pen tip on the paper. At this moment, Zhang Lingzi knew very well that things were different. Her Jinan has always stayed at the age when she should have been the most brilliant, while Su Ling'an is still working hard for his goals and hobbies seriously, and his life is so vivid. I picked up the book on my pillow and flipped through it. I wrote a lot of comments and reflections on it with blue ink pen. I could see that the writing was very casual, but it was also serious. Some short paragraphs were even funny. People smile knowingly. After turning a few pages, sleepiness came over me, and with the rustling sound of pen writing, I fell asleep unconsciously. Asterisk. Z1. In a courtyard full of Zen. Xiaoji brought in a pot of tea and left respectfully. Shen Yunqing washed the tea cups, poured 2 cups of tea, and handed one to the young monk sitting cross-legged opposite him. When the monk took the teacup, he glanced at the light cyan tea in the cup. After he raised his head and drank it, there was a hint of smile in his voice. The lake in my heart is rippling, and my eyebrows are pale. It seems that after I leave, during this period, something good happened. However, Shen Yunqing didn't give him a chance to pretend to be mysterious this time, and replied with a smile in his eyes, "I'll wait until your Majesty." "Congratulations, you got what you wanted." "Thank you. But it seems that your Majesty doesn't live here. She doesn't know my other identity yet. Why don't you say it?" "If possible," Shen Yunqing squeezed the teacup in her hand, "I hope she never knows in her life that we can get along with another identity." "You," the monk shook his head helplessly, "who would have thought that the famous and cold-faced and selfless prime minister during the Yuan Zhao period turned out to be an infatuated person." End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 150. Chapter 150 The choice of male protagonist. This shouldn't be the case. Zhang Lingzi closed the book she borrowed from Su Ling'an and raised her eyes to look at Tong Yu, who was sitting opposite her. "Sister Tong, you have said this 8 times. No, it should have been the 9th time just now." "I don't want to say it." Tong Yu patted the book in Zhang Lingzi's hand. "I'm not as calm as you." "But aren't you in a hurry? It's been 3 days, not 3 hours, why hasn't the notice from the crew come yet?" "Wait a minute, has something happened? Should I call and ask?" Zhang Lingzi took her hand away from the book. "Don't wrinkle the book." From the books in Su Ling'an's room that have been read more than once but are still clean and tidy, it can be seen that the little girl cherishes her books very much. It's normal, people who love learning also love books. She didn't want it to be fine when she borrowed it, but wrinkled when she returned it. Tong Yu looked at her hand that was pushed back speechlessly, and then at the cell phone that was still motionless on the table beside her. The crew of The Legend of the Fallen next door even announced the start time. What on earth is Director Wei doing? Zhang Lingzi gestured to her cell phone, "Then make a call and ask." Tong Yu. No matter what she said just now, the fact is, I don't dare. What if the crew encounters some difficulties that lead to the lack of notice for so long? Wouldn't I be on the receiving end of a phone call? Then calm down and wait quietly. Tong Yu sighed, "That's all." As soon as he finished speaking, a message alert sounded. Tong Yu immediately looked at her cell phone and saw that the screen was still black. She was disappointed and reminded, "Xiao 11, it should be your cell phone that sent the message." Zhang Lingzi took out her mobile phone from her pocket and applied for a friend. Remarks, Wei Minmin. She clicked pass without any hesitation. The other person seemed to have been waiting with his cell phone. As soon as she clicked through, an emoticon of cat probe was sent to her. Zhang Lingzi could almost imagine the girl holding her chin and waiting for her reply. So he typed back, "Where did you get my number?" If I remember correctly, Tong Yu is responsible for all communications with the crew of Empress Yuan Zhao, not to mention that this is still her private account, and there are still only a few people who have added it. Haha, Sister 11, am I very powerful? You will never guess how I got your number. Zhang Lingzi clicked on the message and read it for a full minute. is there someone in your family named Wei Ke? In fact, it is not difficult to guess that Wei Xiao is Wei Minmin's uncle, which means that the Wei family has at least 2 brothers. Therefore, in addition to Wei Minmin, there should be other juniors among the children in the family. Among the contacts on her mobile phone, the person whose surname is Wei Ke, whom she met because of Mr. Su, and he is similar in age to Wei Minmin. Combined with the Wei family tradition that she knew, boys all have 1-character names, and girls all have 2-character names. With so many factors combined, it's hard not to guess. But when this message was sent, Wei Minmin almost jumped up from the sofa. Did my brother tell you, Sister 11, in advance? No, fearing that Wei Minmin wouldn't believe it, Zhang Lingzi also sent a screenshot of the chat interface between her and Wei Ke. The screenshot showed that it had been several days since the last video chat between the two. Such ironclad evidence is right in front of you, now Wei Minmin has to believe it even if she doesn't want to believe it anymore. I can only reply with a thumbs up emoticon. Zhang Lingzi thinks her emoticons are quite interesting, so she might as well save them one by one so that she can use them too. She looked up and saw Tong Yu, who was frowning and looking very annoyed, and her heart skipped a beat. Min, did something happen to the crew? Ah, no, Sister 11, why do you ask that? I haven't received the notification of the audition results for a long time, and my agent is very worried now. Wei Minmin first posted an emoticon of cat handing over. In principle, this matter cannot be notified privately, but for the sake of the 2 of us who will be future colleagues, I will reveal a little. In fact, the main worry is my brother-in-law. As soon as Zhang Lingzi saved her newly sent emoticon, she received another message, Sister 11, you also know that my brother-in-law is extremely picky when choosing actors. This time he was stumped by the role of the male protagonist. I've been auditioning for several days, but I'm still not particularly satisfied. Shen mocking. Yes, even other teachers are now trying to persuade me to lower my requirements, but my uncle seems to have become stubborn and unwilling to compromise. Now we can only continue to select actors while wasting our time and other progress. Then it was suspended. Zhang Lingzi. She never expected that this was the reason. However, if you really choose someone to play the role of Shen mocking at random, she might not be able to help but make a scene if she has to act opposite him. Looking at it this way, Director Wei's insistence is at least beneficial to her. But, in this world more than 1,000 years later, is there really anyone who can perfectly interpret Shen mocking? Thinking of this, a figure suddenly flashed in her mind, and she quickly shook her head. The other person is not an actor, and he seems to be very busy with work. Even if his temperament is somewhat consistent, he probably doesn't have the time. Putting aside his distracting thoughts, Zhang Lingzi sent a message back to Wei Minmin, Director Wei's intention is good. Don't be anxious. You may soon run out of iron shoes and find nothing. It won't take any effort at all. Although Wei Minmin felt that given the level of her brother-in-law, this matter might still be a struggle, she still replied, then I'll borrow Sister 11's good words. Ending the call, Zhang Lingzi did not close the chat interface, but handed the phone to Tong Yu. She felt that this chat should be able to relieve Sister Tong's anxiety. Here, you were just chatting with Wei Minmin, Tong Yu said as she scrolled down, future colleague? So you are sure that the audition was successful? Zhang Lingzi nodded. Tong Yu breathed a long sigh of relief and continued reading, it's because the male lead hasn't been decided yet. It's been 3 days. Almost all the qualified actors in the industry have auditioned. Is it possible that there will be another one next, auditions? That will take a lot of time. Speaking of this, she looked at Zhang Lingzi and hesitated, I think you will be preparing to join the team next time, so there is no work scheduled during this period. If the director of Wei is holding an audition for the male lead role, you just stay idle like this. The audition is just your guess, Sister Tong. Yes too. Actually, regarding the choice of the male protagonist, I think of a pretty suitable person. Tong Yu immediately leaned closer and said, "Who?" "I will recommend it to Director Wei." "Shen Yunqing." "Tong Yu." She picked her ears, "Say it again." If she heard it right just now, she would not dare to recommend it even to death. End of this chapter.